Hi everyone, and welcome to Jane Talks Trek, where I'll be talking about and reviewing an episode of the original series, The Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, or Enterprise. Today I'm looking at A Night in Sickbay from Enterprise's second season, or as I like to call it that time, Archer apologised, eventually. This episode was requested by Dan's McNabb. Thank you, seriously, hardly anyone requests Enterprise, and it's my favourite, so let's get going. We begin the episode with Hoshi, T'Pol, Archer and Porthos in Decon, with Archer bitching about the Kreetassans whom they inadvertently offended in Vox Solar, who they apologise to, only for them to keep them waiting on their planet for 12 hours before kicking them out without the promised technology. And I know that was an exposition dump, but so is this episode. Phlox calls through and says the three humans are free to go, but Porthos has picked up a pathogen, so needs to stick around for more tests. And Archer has to say goodbye. Aw, such a good doggo. And into the credits we go. Trip complains that one of the injectors is out and they really need a replacement from the Kreetassans, and asks what Archer did to offend them.
These people are impossible.
But they really need the part, so Archer agrees to try and look into it. He goes to Sickbay, where Porthos is isolated because the pathogen is collapsing his immune system, so Phlox is running some more tests. And Archer is pissed that something on the planet could kill him, but Phlox says not to give up. Aw, such a cute doggy. Archer meets up with T'Pol, who explains that Porthos whittled on the Kreetassans' sacred trees, hence why they're upset, and says she apologised on his behalf, but he's mad that Porthos got sick.
If anything happens to Porthos, I'll be the one watering their Alvira trees.
That night, Archer can't sleep, so goes to Sickbay where he questions Phlox's credentials, but he apparently wears many hats, and tells Archer to get some sleep.
If there are any changes in his vital signs, the alarms are quite loud.
Archer tries to catch some Z's, but a noise wakes him up. It's Phlox, Katika's toenails. So he tries again, but this time it's Phlox doing that, which reminds me of Theme Hospital. The third time he's woken up, it's Phlox feeding his noisy animals. So after learning there's no change in Porthos's condition, Archer heads to the gym, where he runs next to T'Pol. They try to outrun each other while they have a little spat, Archer blaming the Kreetassans, and T'Pol saying Archer's priorities are all wrong, before Hoshi calls through saying the Kreetassans' list of apology demands are in, and when Archer reads it, he thinks it's a joke and heads back to Sickbay.
Do we have a chainsaw on board?
An alarm wakes Archer and it's Porthos going into shock, so he and Phlox rush around until he's stable, for now, and the captain rants off about the Kreetassans and T'Pol.
Porthos has one paw in Beagle Heaven because these jerks didn't bother to look at his genetic profile. Am I supposed to ignore that?
Phlox asks him how long it's been since he's had a shag, but Archer doesn't want to answer and goes to sleep, only to be woken up yet again by Phlox trying to catch some escaped CGI. So Archer decides to help him and his origami, even though Phlox says Archer's hostility towards T'Pol is sexual tension. But Hoshi proves way more useful than the two of them combined. Archer has a nightmare that Porthos has died. Oh, there's Malcolm and Travis. And after T'Pol shares her umbrella, the pair of them get all naked and jelly until he wakes up again. He tells Phlox about how he got Porthos before T'Pol comes in with food, so Archer apologises for being cranky and says the word breast at her, which doesn't help matters. Phlox has a field day. The alarms go off, so Phlox asks for a cage which contains a chameleon that he is going to use as an organ donor, but he's never done this before, and Archer complains he's being insensitive, so Phlox leaves the procedure up to him. Phlox performs the operation with Archer's help, and they talk about T'Pol and Phlox's extended family, including his 5 children, 2 who are in medicine like him, 1 who's an artist, and 2 who are estranged. Archer apologises for calling him insensitive, and then goes down to the planet to perform the apology ritual for the Kreetassans, which is rather unusual to say the least. Ta-da! Back on the ship, T'Pol reports that the new injector is working perfectly, and they've even given them 2 extra. And Archer apologises before heading to Sickbay, where he thanks Phlox for his help, and he says the transplant worked really well. Aw, cute doggy cuddles! Alright, so this one has a really low rating, equal to Vox Solar, which is its predecessor. I don't personally mind it, but I'm going to look at both sides of it. Let's start with the bad. It's a little silly. It has the whole sexual tension subplot with the T'Pol thing, complete with awkward dream sequence. There's some questionable visuals that don't really hold up. The bat, Phlox's tongue, and the Porthos puppet. The conflict revolves around dog urine, and the apology ritual was downright laughable, as well as Malcolm and Travis being sidelined again. However, as is common with Panda episodes, there's a good idea at the core, it just wasn't executed very well. We again look at the Kreetassans and how easily they are offended, and we get an interesting look about how Archer as a captain and character lets his pride get in the way of doing what's best for the ship. Archer blames the Kreetassans for what happened, even though he knows they're easily offended, so really should have left Porthos behind. But his previous history of being annoyed by these people made him arrogant, which almost cost him Porthos. But we see him grow throughout the episode and realise there's a bigger picture and things more important than his own ego. There were some nice moments between Phlox and Archer, when they weren't talking about T'Pol, and Hoshi added a level of humour, which was nice to see, given she's usually sidelined. All in all, not a good episode, but it did have a good foundation, so that's all we can ask for. So there you have it. That was A Night in Sickbay. If there's an episode of Star Trek you'd like me to cover, pop it down in the comments below, or come say hi on social media. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit that like button, it really does mean a lot, or consider subscribing if you want to be assimilated into my channel. Alternatively, feel free to check out my other YouTube channels. Thank you so much for watching, I'll speak to you soon, and live long and prosper.